Spend enough time in New York, and you're bound to stumble upon one of the city's monuments. There are roughly 1,200 of them. Some might have been installed yesterday, others hundreds of years ago. None, however, are immune to vandalism, pollution, weather, or the human hand, which is why the citywide Monuments Conservation Program was created.
My name is Christine Jurich, and I am a conservator with the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. And we've been working in Flushing Meadows for the past 3 days. People sometimes only notice things when they don't look good, when there's graffiti on it, or when there's, the steps are aligned, and they're like, and then that's when they notice it. So it's really a goal of our program to keep things well maintained, to address conditions.
The conservation team makes its rounds to check up on the city's monuments once a year in the warmer months. Occasionally, an evaluation merits maintenance. Every once in a while, a complete makeover is in order.
This piece right here is a granite monument that required repointing of the stone and repainting of the letters and removal of some accretions just from wear and water penetration in the piece.
Somebody had put, like household caulk in the joints, so it's a bit of a hassle to get it back out. But we got to get them clean before we can refill them. Some of the steps and things have settled, so that we're moving them back into place and refitting them and then watering them down again.
I've done a lot of manual type labor things in the past, but what's so great about this is you got to be working outdoors, and yet you're doing, some really skilled work.
While much of the monuments crew's work is physical labor, staffers and interns like O'Banion must be well versed in the history of the city's collection and have knowledge of the materials each monument is made of.
You really can't work on it without knowing the history, especially the actual material history of something. So like the mortar, for example, there's no way we could replace a mortar or match a mortar without knowing what the history of the mortar was.
We use the gentlest means possible no matter what we do when we approach a project. And before we did any work on it, we did tests of all the materials that we were using, and just to determine the correct procedure and make sure there was no adverse effect on anything.
One thing that's unique, I guess, about this park is that so much of it was put together all at one time, i.e. for the fair, the 64 fair. And they're very different things. One's an antiquity, a Roman column. This is really a memorial bench that was put up to memorialize the Vatican's participation in the fair. And the other one, the free form that we're working on, is a sculpture that was commissioned for the fair. So you've got three things that were all sort of put up at the same time for the same event, but really from very different sources and for very different reasons.
Similarly, all members of the monuments crew are drawn to their work for different reasons. But regardless of age and experience, getting intimate with New York City's history and the monuments that pay homage to it is gratifying for all involved.
I've only been in New York for a year, so my favorite part of it is getting to travel all across the city and learn about these different historic sites that I never would have seen before or known about otherwise. And as far as conservation is concerned, it's wonderful to get experience with all the chemicals.
Well, I knew that the fair stuff was here, so the Johnson building and whatnot, but I really had no idea that the column of Jerash was out here. To have a column from 120 AD, that's something amazing for New York.
Well, you have to think, whenever somebody put up a monument, there's a reason. These things aren't cheap, so clearly either a community really felt passionate about a cause, and it's really, I think they reflect the interests of the people that put them there. So I think it's worthy of taking a second to stop by and read the little blurb.
And theme of the New York World's Fair 1964 to 1965, peace through understanding. Nice. They're wordy.
A lot of the monuments have been here for quite some time. Some are newer, so it's only fair to keep them in good shape so other people get a chance to see them too.